welcome back to The Give and Go. I'm your host Reynoso, here by myself as Soltero is currently at a wedding. Make sure to subscribe to the channel because we'll be talking all about 2026 FIFA World Cup AFC region qualification. And folks, do we have a lot to talk about today? I want to know right away in the comments, did Indonesia get robbed? Let me know what you thought about that ending in the Indonesia versus Bahrain match that ended 2-2 after Bahrain tied it in the very last play, the very final minute, the 99th minute of the match. Problem here is the ref only added 6 minutes and the game should have ended in the 96th minute. We're talking about 3 free minutes that were given in this game. And folks, being unbiased, being true to what I saw, it's the wrong call. It's the wrong call. I'm sorry. It reminds me a lot of what I saw happen with my team, Mexico, when they faced off against Honduras in a very important Copa America qualification match. And Mexico scored in the 100th minute despite only being given 9 minutes at the end of regulation. So we're only talking about a minute there and so much controversy at the time. I admitted that that was the wrong call from the ref involved. We're talking about 3 minutes, guys. 3 minutes. Normally, I would be okay with that if there was a major injury that happened in additional time or if a goal was scored. And if my memory serves me correct, I don't remember any of that happening in additional time. It came off of a corner kick where Marhoun once again gets a brace in this game, sneaks his way behind the line and scores a goal to tie the match. But the reason that I am so frustrated with this result and what the referee ultimately decided is because this was going to be probably the most impressive victory in Indonesia's history. I know it sounds crazy. It sounds crazy, but when you think about what Indonesia is trying to do right now in the AFC region, the age of these players, the process that they're currently in, this was going to be such an impressive victory away from home. And then considering the fact that they were down 1-0 to start the game and they came back with the beautiful goal from Rafael Struijk to give Indonesia the lead away from home. And I thought they defended greatly, man. I thought they did great defensively. Both goals from Bahrain came off of set pieces. The first one from Marhoun, one of the goals of the week, credit to him, amazing goal. But that's the only way that Bahrain's going to score. They're set-piece geniuses. You just can't give them those opportunities. Scored a beautiful banger of a free kick, hits the post, goes in. But then Ragnar, towards the end of the first half, responds with a really nice, tidy finish. The ball just falling to him, finishes it very well, and it's tied at halftime. In the second half, I loved what I saw from Indonesia, Marcelino coming on into this match, and then Struijk just finding a way to score a beauty of a goal from the corner of the box to make it 2-1. I thought Indonesia had it because beyond that free kick that we saw Bahrain score, they couldn't do much in this game, man. They really couldn't. Indonesia's defense was very good once again. We've highlighted that already. It was very, very solid. But then, craziness happens in the end. Ref adds 6 minutes. It goes all the way to the 99th. And Bahrain scores and ties this match. I'm frustrated because these are 3 massive points that Indonesia does not get, and they have to settle for 1 in a very controversial ending, in my opinion. Folks, let me know your thoughts in the comments right now. I want to know everything that you thought about this decision, but beyond that, how Indonesia played, what you thought about the midfield, the defense, and obviously, Struijk's goal was amazing. It was amazing, man. What a moment. The thing is, beyond this crazy decision that happened, beyond the crazy situation that we just saw, I beg Indonesia to stay focused. Stay focused because Group C is incredibly, incredibly tight, and Indonesia has a great opportunity to get 3 points in a game that I'm going to call a must-win against China away from home. Everyone's beaten down on China so far. Indonesia needs to be focused. Take this as a test of their mentality. Yes, it wasn't fair, or yes, it wasn't the right decision. No matter that, stay focused and get 3 points in your next game and get 4 points total in this window. I think ultimately that is a massive victory if they can pull it off, but they can't let this result get in their heads and get in the way of what they're trying to achieve, which is get to the FIFA World Cup. So that's what I'm asking out of Indonesian fans and the Indonesian players. Stay focused because I do think they can still leave this international window feeling really good about themselves. And I really do mean it when I said this group is so tight. I mean, Australia is in second place right now with 4 points. Saudi Arabia, Bahrain also have 4. If Indonesia beats China and certain results go their way, Indonesia could end this window in second place. So that's going to be massive to see that matchup against China. Stay focused and get the 3 points there. Moving on to our next match in this group, we have Japan going up against Saudi Arabia and winning 2-0 away from home in a performance that I would say was dominant. It was commanding. I understand that Japan didn't maybe look their best in this game, but in my opinion, they were going at like 60 or 70% in this match. And even then, Saudi Arabia couldn't find a way to truly break them because we spoke about Saudi Arabia, a very depressing team to watch right now. The team football just isn't there anymore. And every time that Mancini is shown on screen, the man looks lost. He looks lost. I don't know if he even knows where he is right now, dude. And so Japan took full advantage, getting 2 goals in this game. They now have 14 goals for so far in 3 games and 0 goals against. It's the best team in the AFC. Best team by far. And as I mentioned, I'm more interested to see if they can get to 35 goals in total at the end of qualification. Japan continues flying high after this result. And if I'm being honest, I'm more focused on their next match instead of this Saudi Arabia game. Their next match will be their biggest test that they'll get throughout all of qualification, which is playing against Australia, a team who just won their most recent match. If you're Japanese, feel great about this result, feel great about what we've seen so far from your team, but focus in on that next match because I think it will truly test Japan in ways that we haven't seen yet. The thing is, I think Japan's going to figure it out once again, and I think they'll get the result to continue topping this group and just looking as dominant as they have this entire time. The last game in this group was Australia going up against China. Australia getting rid of Graham Arnold and bringing in a new era, a new coach, and Tony Popovich. China going up first in this game. Really nice, tidy finish into the bottom right corner, and China is leading this game. So right away, the signals were going off for Australia. What's going to happen now? Is it the same old thing under Popovich? It isn't, because we see Australia respond right away and get 3 goals in this match to win 3-1. Craig Goodwin, the Craig Goodwin Show. What a show it was, folks, getting a beautiful set piece assist and then scoring a contender for one of the best goals that we've seen so far of this international break. An insane long-range finish that just goes into the back of the net. A banger of a goal. Craig Goodwin showing up, and that's really positive because Salter and I spoke about what we saw from him in that Indonesia match, and he had a lot that he left us asking for in that match. And we've said it before, he can be a little inconsistent at times, or he can, not have that much end product. But when he's on it, like he was today, he's a difference maker, man. He's a difference maker. And so it showed. China now has conceded 12 goals in 3 games. 12, folks. 12. It ain't looking good for the Chinese. For Australia, it's a bounce back performance because with this result, they're now in second place. Given it's a very tight table, but they're in second place now. And as I mentioned for Japan, I'm going to mention the same thing for Australia. Their biggest test now, and Popovich's biggest test, will be facing off against Japan next week. That is a must-watch game to see where both of these teams truly stand in the hierarchy of Asia. This group is insane. It's insane. Every game is must watch, basically. Like, you just can't miss these games. They're all so good, so entertaining, so dramatic, but they also matter. And we're only 3 games into the qualification. Like, imagine once we get into that 8th or 9th match day, it's going to be ridiculous. So if you're not watching this, you gotta tune in. Group C is must-watch football right now. In Group B, we had some really, really interesting results. I'm gonna start off with Jordan losing at home to South Korea. South Korea going into this game with no Heung-min Son, whereas Jordan didn't have Altamari. So basically, both teams missing their best players, I would say. Ultimately, I think it evens out because there's such good quality each that if you're missing each, then okay, fine. You play with what you have, you deal with what's in front of you. And what we saw, I think, was another really impressive South Korean performance. Their second one now in a row after they defeated Oman 3-1 last international window. I think what we're starting to see from South Korea, especially after what I saw today, is looking really, really positive because they basically shut down this Jordan offense for the full 90 minutes. A Jordan offense that became very prominent at the AFC Asian Cup, and so many of us fell in love with, an offense that has been struggling to really get back into rhythm the way that we saw in that tournament back in February. So South Korea dominated this game, in my opinion, just controlling it fully, getting their first goal through Lee Jae-sung with a really simple header, and then sealing it with the second goal. I'm impressed with what I've seen with South Korea now. These are two really positive performances in a row, and for Jordan, I'm a little scared, man. I'm a little scared because they're struggling. I would consider this them struggling. After what we saw at the Asian Cup going all the way to the final, I feel like in these 3 games so far in this round of qualification, we just haven't been able to see Jordan tap into that again, man. And it's tough to really figure out why it's happening, because when you look at the squad, it's essentially the same, man. I mean, the only player that was missing today was Altamari and then I believe one of their center backs. But beyond that, the team is still the same. I don't know who I should put the blame on, or I don't know what's going on really, because when I watch them play, it feels like the energy around them is much different. We're talking about a team that went on a Cinderella-like run at the Asian Cup and was flowing, man. It felt like everybody was on the same brainwave. It was incredible to watch, but now it's more rigid. It's not as confident. The chemistry isn't there fully. I might have to put this on the coach, who hasn't been able to fully find a way to get the max potential out of Jordan so far. So I'm a little concerned, and I know that Soltero is too, because this is one of his favorite teams in Asia, and they just haven't been performing like it so far. A team that, in my opinion, has lived up to expectations, though, is Iraq. Iraq defeating Palestine 1-0 at home. And can I just say something, guys? The crowds at these Iraq games, when they're at home, incredible. Jam-packed stadiums, and the music is going for a full 90 plus minutes. I love it. Iraq has treated me so well every time I tune into their games just to watch this Iraq team go off, man. I've enjoyed it so much, and I just really want to comment on that because they deserve their credit. One of the best crowds, I would say, in Asia right now. And how could you not be excited when you see your boy, the one and only, the chosen one, Iraq's best, Ayman Hussein, scoring for you, using that physicality, bodying defenders, and then placing the ball so perfectly to where the goalkeeper can't get it, and giving you the 1-0 lead early in this match. Ayman Hussein is back. Thank God. I know that he was in the hospital like a month or 2 ago. I'm just happy he's healthy. I'm happy that he's back to his winning ways. Iraq is not the same if they don't have Ayman Hussein. So I need to see him on the pitch because, as you saw today, he is a difference maker. He's the AFC Erling Haaland, I'll say. I really will say that because this dude balls out and plays in such a good way. He knows his body. He knows his ability on the ball, and he's confident, and he can finish so many opportunities. As for Iraq as a whole, sure, they haven't exploded. They haven't gone off completely, but I think they've managed games very well so far. 3 games in, they haven't been scored on, and 2 1-0 results and 1 tie at 0-0. I think it's really good. 7 points total. They're tied with South Korea on points. South Korea has first because of goal differential, but I think this is really good from Iraq, just being a very safe, a very smart team and doing what's needed to get the points that they want to get out of these games. I've loved Iraq's approach so far. They're looking really good, and I think it's just setting the foundation for them to get, even more hot going into these next rounds so that we can see an Iraq team that truly flourishes. And we might see that soon because their biggest test is coming next week against South Korea. That's a must watch. And then the last match that we had in this group was Oman cooking, rinsing, dancing, defeating Kuwait 4-0. Where did this come from? We're talking about Oman. Oman's playing like how I thought Jordan would play, man. Oman cooking Kuwait 4-0. And the thing is, they look deadly. They looked deadly. I only saw the highlights for this game because my eyes were focused on other matches, but looking at the goals they scored, they weren't fluky goals, man. They had really good touches, really smart play between teammates. I thought the buildup was really good too. I mean, I've never seen this from Oman. I'll be serious. I have not seen anything like this. So the fact they destroyed Kuwait in this manner is super positive. 65% possession, 17 shots taken. I think as of now, because of what I just saw, Oman will 100% secure 4th place in this group. 100%. I just don't see Palestine or Kuwait having enough ability to be able to match Oman. And the fact that Oman can handle teams like Kuwait that are below them this well, I mean, it's amazing. If they can just make those games against tougher teams tight, then they can, maybe have a shot at third place potentially. But for sure, Oman is going to get fourth place. And Kuwait, I mean, that's a fifth, sixth place team. I got nothing more to say about them. This is how Group B is looking at the moment. South Korea in first place, Iraq in second, Jordan in third, Oman in fourth place, Kuwait in fifth, and Palestine in sixth. I might even go as far as to say that this is how the group is going to end. Maybe the only one I flip is Iraq in first and South Korea in second, but I do think that comes down to how they play against each other, which we will see next week. So that's super, super exciting. And the last group to review is Group A. So let's look at all the Group A action that happened today, starting off with a really interesting result that I think has been kind of building up for a while. North Korea getting points out of UAE away from home. We mentioned this last time we shot and we talked about North Korea. North Korea ball is something very interesting to look at. They're good. These boys can play. They're well organized, and then they actually do have players that can stick out and can create a really good offensive opportunity to threaten the opposing team. So I've been surprised with North Korea so far this entire run after 3 games, and it showed once again against UAE, a team that went up in this game 1-0 through Yaya, who scored off of a run on the right wing. Really nice finish, puts it past the keeper. Keeper couldn't stop it, and boom, UAE is up 1 after a pretty even match after 60 minutes. What happened afterwards though was North Korea getting angry, man. They responded and they attacked several times, and they had multiple opportunities to tie the match up, ultimately generating a penalty and having the chance to tie the match through a penalty, but having it saved by the one and only, one of the AFC's best goalkeepers out there, Khalid Asa. Another one. Saves it, and I was a little disappointed there because I thought North Korea had earned that penalty. I thought that they deserved to have a 1-1 draw out of this match, but no matter that, the save happens. UAE is celebrating. Khalid Asa is celebrating. But what does North Korea do? They stay focused. They continue attacking. And ultimately, they do find that goal through a header to make it 1-1. And they get a point out of the UAE. Another impressive performance from North Korea. I really do think so. I got to give them credit because this is a team that a lot of people wrote off. A team that a lot of people had finishing in last place in this group. But I think they've done so well, man. They really have. Now sitting in 5th place with 2 points, but only having lost 1 game, which I think is really good for North Korea, and just staying in the range of potentially getting that 4th place spot. That's all they have to do, is stay in range of 4th place. Don't let that get out of hand. If you stay in range and you keep it tight until the very last game, who knows what could happen, man. They could make it to the playoff. They really could if they just stay close in that position. For UAE, it was a weird one. I would have thought with them hosting this game and coming off of an impressive international window last time that they would find a way to get a result here, but this is the UAE that we've seen. They're inconsistent. At their best, they can defeat teams like Qatar, AFC Asian Cup defending champions Qatar, and they can play really good football, score 3 past them. But at their worst, they can be like this. They can be questionable. They can be a little lacking of ideas. They can look slow. And it's why I just can't trust UAE to get a top 2 spot in this group, because they don't have that consistency that's needed to be a top team in Asia. So I think they will get either 3rd or 4th, but just a really questionable performance, I think, from them. And I think this game represents just how low UAE can play when they're not truly on it. A team that wasn't on it for the first 2 games of this qualification cycle was Qatar. The defending AFC Asian Cup champions were not on it whatsoever. And it was really interesting to see a Qatar team look this lost after how on fire we saw them at the Asian Cup. And so you had to ask yourself if they were actually going to respond, if they're going to do something about it, and if they were going to acknowledge the mishaps of the last international window and do their best to go off this window. And honestly, they responded perfectly. A+ performance here. Qatar defeating Kyrgyzstan 3-1 and just dominating this game. I didn't watch it, but I looked at the numbers. I looked at the goals. 30 shots in this game from Qatar. 30. That's an angry Qatar. That's a Qatar that I want to see. I wanted to see Qatar take things personally and do something about it. Wake up, essentially. And it seems like they did, man. Almoez Ali scoring the first goal, and watching that goal, bro, Almoez Ali scored with his Almoez Ali, if you know what I mean. What a finish. After that, it's an own goal. Kyrgyzstan responds, makes it 2-1, but then Qatar gets that closing, finishing third goal to make it 3-1. Qatar gets 3 points. They get 3 points in a much-needed situation. With that result, Qatar now sits on 4 points in 4th place. Kyrgyzstan now sits in last place, having lost all 3 games. It's just tough for Kyrgyzstan, man. Like, offensively, I just don't see how they can generate enough to really challenge teams. I was surprised that they put up a match against Uzbekistan, but even then, they lost the lead and they lost points in that match. I just don't see them having the defense to suffice for their lack of offense, and it's going to be a tough ride for Kyrgyzstan. The last game to review is Uzbekistan going up against Iran. A game that myself, and I'm sure a lot of you guys, thought was going to be a classic, a banger. The top 2 teams in this group going head to head, teams that have faced off against each other before in the last 2 years and given us great matches, and teams that are trying to achieve special things going into the 2026 FIFA World Cup. But what did we get? We got essentially a stalemate, man. 0-0, 0-0, only 4 shots on target from both teams in total in this match. That's disappointing, man. That's really disappointing. 57 minute comes and Hardani gets a red card in this game. Iran is down to 10 men in this match. And what I saw from Uzbekistan in those following 33 minutes is super disappointing. Low-key concerning. Because how do you not take advantage of an Iran team with 10 players at home? How do you not take advantage? Or how do you not even show the want to take advantage? That's my thing. I didn't see them have that fight to want to take advantage of Iran being down a whole man and just attacking them. We know that they have the tools to endanger an opponent when it's 11v11, make it 11v10 and go off, man. Go off. And we didn't see any of that. On the opposite hand, we actually saw Iran play better, which is crazy to say. I thought Iran was by far more impressive in this match with how they handled being down a man, but weren't shy about going forward and trying to, still get 3 points out of Uzbekistan. It got close at one moment with a handball penalty being called, but then the ref went to go see it on VAR, and I do think that he made the right call by retracting it because, yes, you could look at the still and it does hit his hand, but that's not what matters. It's more so the context of it. It was a natural motion for the defender, in my opinion. I don't think he was doing anything crazy or he was trying to make himself bigger. It really was accidental and natural. And I'm glad that they took the penalty back because that wouldn't have been fair in my opinion. It just wouldn't. I think that wasn't a penalty. Ref made the right call there. 0-0 tie. Both these teams still remain on top with Uzbekistan leading Group A with 7 points. Iran in second with 7 points as well. UAE in third, Qatar in fourth, North Korea in fifth, and Kyrgyzstan in sixth. That's where we stand, folks. That's where we stand after an incredible match day once again. And I'd love to know in the comments down below, what did you think about all these results? What are your takeaways after another eventful match day in the AFC World Cup qualifying region? And folks, we'll be back next Tuesday with our reaction to match day 4 alongside my boy Soltero making the comeback. I cannot wait, guys. Leave us a like on your way out. Make sure to subscribe.